Hey there, my name's Mark. I'm a classically French-trained chef living in Paris. For the past few months, restaurants here have been closed, so I've had a lot of time to practice my home cooking skills. I'm definitely missing a lot of the toys I have to play with in a professional kitchen, but cooking at home has really taught me a few lessons, and since I'm sure a lot of you guys are also cooking from home, I thought I'd share a few recipes. So today we are going to cook something that I eat all the time. It's a marinated chicken breast. I really love this recipe because you can time it for whatever works well for you. You can cook this a half an hour before you want to eat, or you can prepare this up to 3 days before you actually want to eat it. So let's get started. So you might think a marinade is complicated and unnecessary, but it's really so easy, and it's the secret to getting that perfect texture in your chicken. So I've got a recipe down below, but I'm just gonna eyeball it here just because I make it a lot. This is really one of my favorite recipes just because of the organization on this. If you want, you can cook it for a meal right away. You're just gonna let it sit for about half an hour. Otherwise, you can do this up to 3 days in advance. I use Herbe de Provence. It's a French spice blend. Usually it's a mix of rosemary, thyme, oregano, and bay leaf. If you are having a hard time finding those herbs, you can also just use fresh or dry herbs, any of those herbs. If you're going to use thyme, you're going to make sure that you don't get any of the stem in the dish, just because that does not taste very good. As far as the bay leaf is concerned, you're just going to take the whole leaf and plop it in there. And then make sure you take it out before. This may not look like a lot of liquid, but really the goal is to just get the chicken totally covered here. So we're just going to add that in piece by piece. And then you just want to dunk those in as much as you can. But this should be enough to absorb all the juices. So then you can just cover it up and let it do its thing while you do yours. Okay, so now that these onions are starting to get a little bit translucent here, I'm going to start to add the chicken. It's really important that the pan is hot. That helps to avoid burning the chicken and having it stick to the pan, which you never want. Okay, so once you've got all of those chickens in there for about 20 to 30 seconds, you're going to turn the heat down to about medium-high. Once those breasts have been on the stove for about 2 or 3 minutes, it's going to be time to flip them over. And you definitely want a little bit of golden brown. So if you see anything like this piece here that still needs some more time, you can just flip that right back over. But we want some of that nice browning action going on. That one's not ready yet. Every stove is different, so sometimes certain parts of the stove are hotter than others, so you can move these things around in the pan to make sure that these are all evenly cooked. You'll notice I'm using a pair of tweezers here. I find that gives me the most control, but you know, you can use whatever you've got handy at home, so a spatula or a fork and spoon, whatever you're more comfortable with. So whenever I'm cooking on the stove, I have a little bit of liquid to the side. You can use wine. For this, white wine might be nice. Chicken stock, works well, or just water. And I'm gonna deglaze the pan here a little bit. That helps the chicken, if you're worried it's getting too hot, that prevents things from burning and sticking to the pan. Also, once we're all done here, it's gonna be a really nice sauce. Once you've done it a few times, you'll start to get comfortable using feel to check how done the chicken are. Well, you wanna be able to poke that, and it should be firm, but not too firm. So this one still needs a little bit of time, but some of these are ready to go, so I'm gonna take those out. All right, so the chicken is all done now. I'm gonna add the rest of the marinade to the pan. You wanna make sure you get that to a nice boil. This is good by itself, but it's been sitting with raw chicken, so you wanna make sure you're being safe there. You're letting some of the water come out, and that's gonna thicken up the sauce a little bit. You can let that go for 30 seconds to a minute, and then you're good to go. Now that the water has been boiled out, I'm gonna just turn that off and take it off the heat until I'm ready. I think a meal is complete when you have a protein, a grain, and a vegetable. So today, with the chicken, we're gonna have some rice and lettuce and keep it simple. Garnish with a little bit of spring onion. And there it is. Nice and simple. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Hope you came out of this with something new to try out while you're stuck at home.